1. This happened a few weeks ago, and I ran into someone earlier today that brought up this store, so I figured I'd share it. Small info about me. I'm a 23-year-old female, though I'm 5 foot 1 inch and people say I look like I'm 16, which becomes relevant later. And one of the 3 jobs I work is a nanny. They call me Mrs., my first name. I'll just use E. The family I work for is a family of 9, 2 parents, 7 kids. Yes, you heard that right, 7 kids, and all from the same parents and 1 marriage. The oldest 3 are boys, 14, 12, and 10. They are not part of this story, but just stating ages. The youngest 4 are a boy, S, 6, a girl, B, 4, and a boy, A, 2.5. And the youngest girl, D, 8 months old. These are the kids involved. Now, all of these kids are homeschooled, and I watch them when Mom teaches the oldest, and I take them out so they can socialize with others, and, talk with other human beings. A lot of those places have homeschool activities for other homeschooled kids. One place I take them in their town is a place that is like a giant kids' play museum. 2 floors and multiple rooms with different themes, like a vet and a bank, etc. Here is where our story takes place. Now on to the story. One day, Mom was taking the older boys on a field trip to somewhere I don't know where, and I took the 4 little ones to a kiddie place so they could hang out. I have the 4 youngers, and when I get there, I say hi to the worker I know. We go every week, he knows us by name. And say hi to a few other moms who know me. While the kids play in the open area, I'm chatting with the moms, and they're cooing over D. I see B playing with a girl, I didn't recognize her, so I assumed she was a new member. Small detail for this place. You have to have a membership to be in there on certain days. It's open to all for a few on other days. We tend to go on membership days. B asks if it's okay to go and play with her in another section. I look over and the little girl is talking to 2 women, one I assume was her mother, and the other the grandmother based on age. I make eye contact with the younger woman who was actually sweet. She was a nice mom. I nodded, and she did back, so I let her go play. At the time, the boys were playing with each other in the room next to me, and the baby was fussing, so I sat down closer to them, knowing B was in a room with kids and parents. About 5 or so minutes later, B runs up to me to ask where her friend is. She said she couldn't play anymore. I was confused because I saw her playing with other kids. Then B said something that threw me for a loop.
Mrs. E, what's a slut?
I instantly turned my head so hard and looked shocked and briefly thought I had an aneurysm. I'm sorry, B? What did you say? She repeated the question. B, where did you hear that word? She points over to the nice mom and the grandmother, who I will now call an entitled mom.
That lady said it. When I was playing with the nice girl, she said, what a slut.
Now, I didn't know based on the way she said it if she was talking about me or someone else. I just told B don't say that word and to go play with her brothers. She smiled and ran off. Because I'm a snoopy person, I grabbed the diaper bag and walked towards the entitled mom and nice mom. I stayed close so I could hear them, but I pretended I didn't really notice and started pretending to buy food at a grocery store. I then heard the entitled mom say quietly, not that quiet, to nice mom,
Oh my God, that girl, 3 kids and a baby at that age. How old was she when she started?
Yep, definitely talking about me now.
She had to be the slut of the school she went to. That's why I homeschooled you, and you should homeschool nice kid. I don't want that to be her future too.
I was in shock. Now, I've been asked by other moms and dads here if I'm the mom to them, which I get. I'm here with the kids. I could be the mom. But most laugh it off when I say I'm the nanny. I could have just corrected her and confronted her right away. But I've been reading Reddit too much to not just be a bit petty. For the next hour or so, I slightly follow the EM and nice mom around. It's a small area, but still. When she went upstairs, we did too. I made sure again to keep my distance so she didn't know I was listening. I keep playing with my kids, but was still keeping an ear to them. No, I can't remember all of them, and I can't say this is word for word, but essentially comments I heard were,
Do you think they all have the same dad? Probably not. How old was she when she had the first one? 14? She must be on government help. No way she can take care of them on her own. She probably doesn't even have a job.
Who the fuck was this lady to think anything like that about me? Now, I know I'm not the mom, but I work 3 jobs to support myself. I'm a nanny, an autism therapist, and a cashier at night to put myself through online school and pay my rent. And considering I was assaulted when I was young, and that was my first sexual experience, really pissed me off. I had to briefly walk away after a while because I was getting emotional. The kids came to me and asked if I was okay, and one of the other moms I knew did too. The kids hugged me and ran off. The other mom came up to me, the one I knew, Jane. "Hey, I take it you heard what she said about you?" I nodded. "Yeah, it's hard not to. Does she think we can't hear her? We're going to say something to her if it's all right with you. We don't want to embarrass you." I told her, "No, don't. I'll take care of it." I looked at my watch, and I smiled. I had a plan. I called out to my kids, 10 minutes and we're leaving, you guys." I look at Jane, and she looks confused and then smiles. I see the EM and the nice mom go downstairs, and I smile wider and tell the kids, "Let's go downstairs for the last few minutes." I see Jane walk to the other parents, and I see them try not to laugh. After the 10 minutes, I call my kids. It's time to go. Now, we have a routine we do when we leave an area like this. It's their mom's thing, but I encourage it. When we leave, we all say thank you to the workers, and the kids then say thank you to me for bringing them. You see where this is going, right? I make sure I'm in eye line of the EM when all 3 of them come up around me when I call for them. Some of the other kids come to say goodbye. I clap my hands and say, "Okay, kids, what do we say?" All 3 take a deep breath and yell, "Thank you, workers, for letting us play, and thank you, Missy Z, for taking us today." I look up at EM. She is pale white, with her mouth hanging open. I look down and tell the kids to go to the cubbies and get your shoes and jackets. Then I walk to the EM. I didn't know what I was going to say till I said it out loud, but God was I proud. You know, before you assume someone is the high school slut, maybe you should ask if she's really the mom. I'm the nanny to the 4 lovely kids who come from a hard-working, God-loving family, who, by the way, all have the same parents and don't get government assistance. They treat me like family, and I love them as if they were my own siblings, and I don't appreciate you talking about them or me in any negative way when you don't know anything about us. I was calm in my long statement, no yelling, no raised voices, I wasn't even stern. I was matter-of-fact and kept a soft voice I used when I told the kids something. She just stuttered and didn't really say anything. As I walked away, I picked up Dee's hand and said, "Say goodbye to the Karen, sweetie." I grabbed my kids' hands and walked away. I heard Nice Mom start saying something to EM, but I didn't care. As I walked out, the guy who worked there high-fived me and said, "See you next week." The kid's mom loved this story when I went home. She laughed so hard. She did ask if I was okay and did I have hurt feelings or something, but I just said no, I'm okay. She gave me some extra money in my paycheck that week. Today I again took the kids to the kiddie place, and guess who was there? Nice Mom, and guess who wasn't there? EM. As we came in, Nice Kids saw B and instantly ran to her, and they started playing and the boys went to the cars. Nice Mom came over sheepishly to me and we started talking. She told me how sorry she was for her mom, and she definitely did not feel the same way. She tried to get her mom to leave it alone and stop talking, but she didn't. I guess EM really wanted Nice Mom to homeschool her daughter, like she was, but Nice Mom didn't want to because she had another job she loved. They'd been having this discussion when we came in that day, and I guess she took it out on me? I don't know. Nice Mom said again how sorry she was, and that now EM wasn't allowed to come to the kiddie place because several of the other parents complained about her, so she wasn't allowed back. And I guess this was the final straw for her and all. She didn't cut contact completely, she is on limited contact now, and can't see her granddaughter on her own anymore. Gotta love karma, karma, karma. Me and Nice Mom exchanged numbers and are planning on getting the girls together for a playdate. I would love to know what she'd say if she knew I was around her granddaughter, and my kid was her new best friend. If I have another run-in with her, I'll update. That's my story, and I hope it was entertaining. And just know you don't have to take flack from anyone about anything. Stand up for yourself, because sometimes that's the only one who will. 2. This happened a few years ago, so things are a little fuzzy around the edges. I am a veterinary technician, and I got injured on the job. A puppy was handed to me, and he started flailing and managed to take 1 centimeter by 3 millimeters chunk out of my cornea with his claw. It's amongst the most painful injuries I've ever received. I can't see to save my life, so I called my dad and asked him to take me to the ER. He picks me up directly from work. The ER is a madhouse. You know it's gonna be bad when there's a handful of staff waiting on an ambulance to arrive. While I'm waiting in the exam room, I hear a page come over the system for a code blue. That means a patient is arrested, and it's an all-hands-on-deck situation for CPR. It's also a reminder that you're lucky to be waiting in an ER because you're not dying. I'm eventually seen by a doctor, and I get a few sidelong glances from the nurses at my scrubs. They seem to notice the huge paw print logo embroidered on them from the hospital I used to work at, and leave me be. After my visit, the nurse discharging me points down the hall at the door and tells me to exit that way, and then she gets back to work. As I'm walking down the hall, a woman pops out from one of the exam rooms on my blind side and immediately starts yelling. I almost crash into a desk. Our characters will be concerned mother and mortified daughter, and yours truly. The main entertainment.
Do you know how long I've been waiting?
I gesture in vain towards the paw print logo. I don't work here.
Do you think I'm an idiot?
I can get someone to...
We've been waiting for 45 minutes in this room. My daughter's tummy hurts. Do you even care about her?
The kid seems to be about 13 years old, covering her face with her hands, looking a bit like she wishes the floor would swallow her up. I can't help.
Her tummy hurts. Do you people even care at all about how long we've waited?
In disbelief over how someone could be so clueless about triage. Did you not see the man come in that got hit by a car? Just a guess, but hoping to give her some perspective.
Is he my daughter? No? Then why would I care? What's wrong with your face? Quit winking at me.
Just struggling to see over here, my bad. At this point, a security guard shows up. He stands between us and looks at her, then at me. I'm desperately pointing at the paw print logo. I'm a patient. He nods and turns to concerned mother and starts explaining that I don't work there. I didn't hang around to see the aftermath because, you know, the whole couldn't see part. Some say her daughter's tummy hurts to this very day. 3. I used to go to the same middle school my mother worked at as a guidance counselor. Now, something to know is that my whole family avoids confrontation. Both my parents and my sister are content to apologize and cower in front of a Karen, but not me. In this middle school, all the staff knew me and loved me. All the kids knew and loved my mom as well. The parents, on the other hand, believed she was their own personal punching bag and yelled at her for things that she could not control and which were not in her job description. Something else to know. When school ended, my mom would go to the car line to direct people, and I would sit in the chairs in the front office waiting for her, either reading a book or playing on my phone or whatever. This is where our story begins. As the guidance counselor's daughter, I overhear things, and I never repeat them. Lately, I've been hearing about a situation with a girl I don't know and her parents. From what I could tell, the girl's father wanted to see her, but the girl was with her mother, and did absolutely not want to see him. She had been avoiding him for a while before this occurred during Caroline. The entitled parent stomps inside the office and starts yelling at one of the workers, not sure who it was.
I want to see my daughter. I want a meeting with her right now.
I'm sorry, sir, but she isn't here and we can't...
I don't care. I want to see my daughter. You people are the reason she doesn't want to see me. You're keeping me from my daughter.
The poor school worker and floor lady were trying to calm him down. Sir, please stop yelling. We're trying...
Shut up. I want my daughter. Bring me my daughter right now.
This ensues for a long time, with the guy cursing at and blaming the workers for his daughter not wanting to see him. Now I'm getting mad, and I know I shouldn't have done this, because it was out of place. But these people were my friends and my mom's friends, and they didn't do anything wrong. So I stepped in with a snappy tone and cold glare, and I calmly said, "Sir, maybe your daughter doesn't want to see you because you're acting like a brat and a bully. Perhaps if you calmed down and began acting like an adult, she would talk to you. No wonder she doesn't want to see you." This guy looked at me, the middle schooler who had just roasted him, and his face turned red. And I could see he was fuming. But he didn't want to argue back to a middle schooler in a middle school, so he angrily stomped out. From what I heard, the daughter had ran as fast as she could to Carline and leaped into her mother's car to avoid him. 4. I'm honestly glad this encounter wasn't as bad as it could have been. It's short, but it's a sweet karma ass kick for the EP. Our story begins at home with my kid on a summer break in 2022. My kid, 12, actually wants to go outside to hang out with his friends. I was shocked, flabbergasted, and completely dumbfounded when my son asked, "Hey, my friends are at the park and want to play backyard football. Can we go?" I obviously responded yes, because I was tired of the constant "why am I lagging" or "you suck," or whatever other raging came from his room, especially late at night. We drove and drove for like 4 minutes, pulling up to the park. I saw the parking lot filled with cars, Ford Chevys, and then I recognized Sam's mom's car, and I knew this was the right place. I pulled into the spot, did a 7 out of 10 job at parking, and we got out. My child ran quickly to a group of kids out in the field, while I was still fumbling around for my phone and keys. I walked slowly past the playground, not paying too much attention to the screaming children running up and down the playset. The one thing I did notice was someone giving me a snobby look. I thought she was just looking at me with the gross "I'm rich and you're a poor person" look, all because I didn't get done fixing my hair and my clothes were slightly dirty. I sat down on the bench closest to the kids and pulled out my phone to record this historical moment. My son actually went outside. I saw them throwing it around, about 6 kids total. Honestly, it looked like they were one team. Then some woman came over to me and snapped in my face while I was recording.
"Excuse me."
I broke out of my trance. "Oh, hi." I looked up at her and stared deeply into her face. She was scrunched up like a used sponge.
"What
Pause to snap again.
do you think you're doing?"
Recording? Can't even finish sentences around Satan anymore.
"Aha! Recording those children, looking at which one to take."
I stared intently into her face to see if she was joking. Her face was more serious than the crime she probably committed to get so angry at me for nothing. "You mean recording my child playing football with his friends?" I honestly was shocked. I kept my temper.
Yeah, that's what they all say.
Because most of the time it's actually their fucking kid. I had snapped at her, and Sam's mom and Max and Kyle's dad both looked over from their shade area, saw this woman yelling, and came over. Hi ma'am, what's going on here?"
"Oh, finally someone to help. This woman right here is trying to kidnap..."
And that is where I stop you. I know this woman right here, it's OP. I've known her since my kids went to kindergarten, because her kid was in my class. Ooh, and the raging bull was caught. I probably didn't say that, but it's funny to imagine.
"Well, what if you're all,
Please just save it. If you want me to prove it, give me 5 seconds. Here comes the finale. "Hey, Sam!" And one of the kids looks over.
"Yeah?"
And that's the icing on the cake. "You know this woman right here?" Sam, Kyle, and Max.
"That's Sam C's mom."
Thanks, Max and Kyle. We just needed to hear from Sam.
"Dad, who's the crazy lady right there?"
The EP was shocked, flabbergasted, and completely dumbfounded. We had just exploded her whole ego.
You need to raise your kids better. Calling strangers crazy lady."
Well, is he wrong? Oh my, this is hilarious. I wish I was recording. The EP walked off, but one of the kids from the playset came over.
"Can I play with you guys?"
"Sure, why not? We only have 6 people, come on." The EP was looking over at us constantly, clearly annoyed about losing. So that's it, like I said. I wish it wasn't so calm, but it was also kind of anticlimactic. Sometimes that's how it goes. 5. So I've just come back from a coach trip from the UK to Disneyland Paris. It was a wonderful trip apart from one family who decided they could do whatever they wanted with no consequence. To set the scene, me and my 2 friends have just arrived at the bus stop and are waiting for the coach. In front of us is a family of 4 adults and 3 children. A young girl around the age of 10, a boy also around the age of 10, and a teenage boy. All 3 are sat on the floor and are attempting to play a card game. However, the girl is screaming at the top of her lungs, telling the other kids how to play the game. The adults tried to intervene once, got sworn at by the child, and then gave up. Me and my friends exchanged glances before resorting to sending each other memes violently voicing our discontent. Luckily, we were seated at the front of the coach, and the family were at the back. We could still hear the girl yelling all the way, but we let it slide because, hey, we're going to Disneyland, and they're probably just excited. We went on to have a wonderful couple of days in Disneyland, completely forgetting that this family even existed. Until it was time to come home. You see, dear listener, we're broke. So we had booked a coach that left Disney at 8 p.m., arriving back in London at 4:30 a.m. It's a given that you'd want to sleep on the coach. Well, as we waited for our coach to come and collect us, there we were reminded of that child's piercing screams and shrieks as she ran around that car park and in front of cars, whilst the adults once again did nothing. My friends and I exchanged worried glances, but it was only the beginning. Once on the coach, people started pulling out neck pillows and blankets, ready to attempt to sleep, but not that family. They talked loudly about their trip and complained that the coach driver hadn't put the radio on for us. People were already grumbling, but the family paid them no mind. When we reached Calais, it got worse. The driver asked for a volunteer to collect everyone's passports and bring them to the front. One of the adults and the girl's mother volunteered and had to sit at the front with the driver while sorting the passports. Well, the child decided that was an invitation to run up and down the aisle between her parents, before loudly demanding that her mother sing Happy Birthday in Welsh. This was at midnight, and Border Patrol had checked our passports. The mother decided to hand some of them to her children, but that wasn't good enough for the little girl, who kept screaming at her mother to give her more. Apparently, no is not a word she could understand, and she simply kept screaming. Even when people stated they were not comfortable with children handling their passports, the kids still got to hand them out. And then we finally boarded a ferry at 1:35 a.m., ready for a quiet crossing. We were wrong. Initially, my friends and I had sat in an area with a kids' play area. We quickly realized and relocated to a quieter area of the ship, so we could try and grab some sleep. People around us were sprawled out on benches with blankets over their heads, and mothers had sleeping children in their laps. We found a quiet corner and started to doze off. Then we heard it, that same piercing shrieking. All from that girl. They were running up and down the length of the ship, shouting and shrieking as they went. People were being startled awake every single time they went by. Other children were beginning to cry because they were tired. The teenage boy was literally winding up the younger 2, making them shout even more. The adults of the group were absolutely nowhere to be seen. Eventually, I snapped. After a particularly piercing shriek, I yelled, "Quiet, please, it's 2 o'clock in the morning, and people are trying to sleep." Several other murmurs of agreement surrounded me. They went silent, looked at me, and ran off. I knew what was coming. We all knew. In marched one of the adults, not the mother, just another one of the adults.
"What did you say to the kids?"
she demanded, loudly of course. I said, "Quiet, please. There are people trying to sleep." I gestured to people groggily emerging from their blankets to see what the commotion was.
"If you've got a problem, speak to an adult. Don't shout at kids."
"Well, where were you?"
"Down there."
She points. They were at the opposite end of the ship. "So why weren't you with them?"
"The hyper kids are gonna be hyper."
Again, it's 2 o'clock in the morning and people are trying to sleep.
You should have come and talked to us.
How was I supposed to know who you were or where you'd be?
Whatever. Just don't shout at the kids.
And then they left. Was it the end? Oh no. They continued their shrieking and running. When we attempted to find the adults, as they had requested, they had moved and were nowhere to be found again. The girl also tried to stare me out a couple of times. I think she was trying to intimidate me, which is laughable. Eventually, the ferry trip came to an end, and I waited until the last possible second to get back on the coach, so they wouldn't have to walk past me. I was thanked several times by fellow ferry passengers in both French and English for my attempts to shut those kids the hell up. I do wonder how much of a problem it would have been if I woke up their kids at 2 a.m. Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to The Impractical Proudness of Parents, Ipop, episode 106, and thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use their stories in this video. Please do hit the like button if you'd be so good, I'd appreciate it. Okay, no other business today, so let's move right along to Hellfreezer's question of the day. And today's question is, when exercising, if that's something you enjoy doing, do you prefer music to work out to, or do you, like me, like podcasts, audiobooks, and TV shows? I don't know why, the music just doesn't motivate me, but having something else, something like that, to concentrate on lets me get through it more easily. I look forward to reading your answers in a comment below. And with that, I'm going to head off for now. So until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourself.